and it just kind of got to a point of just, you know, the hospital telling you that, this your last, say goodbye to your mom, this your last days type thing.
Every L podcast. Every L podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Matt Brown, and you're listening to the
Every L podcast.
Each episode, we'll have a different guest come on and talk about when life hands you an L, is it really a loss or is it something else?
Because not every L's a loss.
So sit back, relax, or do whatever you guys do to get comfortable as we get into this. Let's go. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
Not too bad, man. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Well, thank you very much for joining me. As you know, this is the Every L podcast where we discuss when life hands you an L, is it really a loss or is it something else? I'm so honoured to have such an amazing guy join me, who goes by the name of Jonathan. He's just he's a very comical guy. He's a very comical guy. I think when life gets a little bit too serious for him, he just plays a joker. That's my inclination about it all. But I think he's just one of those people that just got an infectious smile, a fantastic personality, and has really good moral compass about himself. So, when they talk about be careful who you associate yourself with, he's one of those people that I'll be more than happy to align myself with because it's just good vibes and good people. Sir, could you please introduce yourself in a way that you see fit?
Not a problem. First of all, that was the best intro I've ever received. So, if you could record that and send that over to me, just that segment, not the whole podcast, that thing, then I'll be done. So, thank you, everyone, and good night. My name is Jonathan. Currently, living, in down south. Lived in Manchester for a while as well, and just happy to be here.
Down south in the UK, he means.
Oh yeah, sorry, down south in the UK, not Atlanta or down south in France or Spain. I wouldn't mind Spain if I'm honest quite now, but yeah, unfortunately, no. So no, happy to be here.
So let's jump into this because I found it quite interesting, your first L that you wanted to discuss. And for those that are listening, the first one Jonathan wants to tackle is failing A levels and understanding that transition from young adult to adult and seeing what could have been and feeling left back. So that's a lot. That's a lot to digest. But let's go from the top and discuss about failing your A levels. And for those that don't know what A levels is, could you please explain it to them?
Yeah, sure. So A levels is something that you do after you've completed your kind of general certificate of secondary education. So we're talking after 16 years of age. It's seen as a qualification to kind of progress you on to university or college, as they say in America. And it's one of the kind of qualifications that people use to kind of progress their career. So it's that kind of, when you're kind of 16 to 18, you're really feeling yourself. You're getting that transition from kind of being that child who finished their kind of predominant years of education and then kind of going on to being more of a adult or making more adult decisions. You maybe getting some money because you're doing a part-time job. You're feeling yourself like from a personal perspective, and yeah, it's just you get more. It can have a make or break you. I find those times. And I was more on the other end of feeling myself a bit more. I would say definitely confident about how I would approach education, confident about life, and just optimistic in general about what was ahead of me.
That's interesting because a lot of people, when they are growing up, they don't know what they don't know. And I think it's a matter of we get to that point where we hit 16 and everyone's telling you, oh, you're a grown up now. And it's like, am I? I don't feel no different. My face is all spotty. My joints hurt. I don't know if I'm cool, but I think I am. But then you have the peer pressure of having to juggle a social status and academic accomplishments, which it comes from the house usually, and the teachers, which is rightly so, because that's their job to make sure that we're adequately equipped for the road ahead of us. Although some could argue that the school system is archaic, but that's a conversation for another time. So, how important was A levels to you personally?
Well, it was one of those things. When I can talk about it now, but it's just something that's quite a landmark to me. It was a that natural progression of what do you want to do, and I know in my household at the moment was education to progress further, to do what you wanted to do, and it was, I guess, it was a bit of arrogance as well to say, right, I'm doing A levels. It's not your kind of typical vocational course. You're doing your going down the academic route, which, let's be honest, as a Black Caribbean boy at the time, it's very rare that you're doing A levels or anything like that. Well, where I was anyway. So it was, something that I thought I can do this. I've done GCSEs fine. I cruise that. That should be fine. So it was important to me, in terms of setting out what my career would want, my or what job I wanted as well. But at the same time, and like you said, the social status comes along with it. So um the context of what's going on with um friends partying sometimes as well, girls, and just understanding how to maneuver all of that, in addition to sport and basketball, which I was really into, that kind of freedom where you had to manage your lifestyle and what you wanted to do, but everything's open, everything's there for you. So with that in mind, it was a management struggle where not anything was really regimented for me, I would say. I made the decisions.
That's interesting. So, your parents were kind of like, I want you to achieve and accomplish and to be the best version of yourself academically as well as everything else. Do you feel that, like, how did they feed into that in terms of you going from school? Because here in the UK, and obviously we're similar ages, so when you hit 16, you could either continue with further education or you could go out into the world and get a job. In your instance, you decide to continue in education. So, by you continuing education, was that because you wanted to do it or because there was an expectation of doing that from your parents?
But there's a combination of things really. Um, I got good GCSEs, so it's seen, and in terms of promotion of opportunity for young people, that was just the thing to do. Um, if you had a certain grade in, you were able to progress into further education, and it was something that was quite natural. Um, no really talk about creation or building businesses or thinking about what you want to do. It was, yeah, just go on there and go into university and you'll be fine. So with that in mind, it was just one of those things where um yeah, I thought I could do this. Just carry on. And role models are very important as well. My sister had gone into university beforehand, so I'd seen the pathway of, right, you go into A levels and you go into university. Um, it's just that other thing now of what that means for your management and what you um how you set yourself for these type of things, a discipline. And I found that particular, it's not necessarily the A levels bit and that progressive education. It was what happened at the outcome. So I was, second year, thought I'd done it, thought I was good. Um, got got to A level day, and it was like you you yeah you, and it was just like, whoa, what am I gonna do? And as someone who obviously you didn't think about your plan B, you just thought you're going to university or some way. Then like it made me think, oh, what do I do now? Like, what's the steps? And then like you get the guidance of going through clearing or finding alternatives in terms of universities that would take your grades or would make you progress. But that came to the L is really that point where you understand you're really on your own in this game. Like, this is what's going on with your life now, and you're at a point of making, this is the crossroad. What's your decision? And throughout, before that, it's more seeking guidance from your elders or your parents. And you know coming from a first generation immigrant who's may not necessarily gone this far in education, there was kind of like a feeling of step back, like, hmm, you have to make your own decisions here, bro. And with that in mind, it was like, oh, I've got to make it. I've got to make a decision, but I don't know whether it's the right decision. And then I think at that point, you know exactly that you have the empowerment to to control your own destiny in that sense. Um, so I think that was the L in general. Um, what again in terms of the decisions and what it meant. Obviously, you were when you're at that age, you do have a social circle that you may be around, and they have to make their decisions, and they're totally different to what you have decided as well. So, for example, for me, I thought I'll take a year intensive and then get back on track, and that feeling of no, well, whilst my other friends were off doing, well, they decided to forget it. Like I may have got the grades I want, but I can progress somewhere in another um at another university, just not the one I wanted to.
That's interesting. I just want to stop this for a minute because I'm very mindful that not everyone will understand because grading now for younger people is different to what it was when we was there. We're not that old. But and also there's people that may not be in the UK and understand the system. So when Jonathan was mentioning about the getting the it was a U grade you got. So normally the grading system at that time, A plus or yeah, A star was it? And then you had that A's and you had the B's and the C's and D's. Those are like the top end of the marks. When you're getting a U, was it like unmarked or something like that? Like they just
I was unmarked, so I think there was an X and there was a U.
all I can say is right, I would get more than the stink eye if I got pulled in anything like a D or whatever. When you're getting a U, your backside is burning. You ain't gonna go loo for the longest time.
Trust me.
So, yeah, Jonathan, I don't know how he's still able to be here today because my backside would have been on fire.
But this is it. This is the whole thing, Matt. Like when it gets to that point of A levels and you're expecting that Rasin, like it comes to a point of you're expecting that, but you don't because you're the adult now. It's understandable. That's your life and that's what you're supposed to do. So that discipline isn't necessarily there in that sense. And that's when it comes to that realization that, oh, this is done to me. I've got to fix up. And with that in mind, it just made me think about kind of, okay, what do I want to do? Um, my girlfriend, now wife, went to university. I was stuck here in London in a year intensive. All my friends are going out, going to having the university life. I'm still here working in Harvester. Like it's just one of those things. But the Harvest is a restaurant, so I was serving tables and doing waitering. Um, but like it's that understanding of okay, so I've really got to get my life together. I've got to put myself in a position of um power and do better next time.
So, how did you feel when you got those grades? Were okay, a little bit further back actually. If we go whilst you was doing the course, because it's what 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
So you're doing a 2 year course. Your parents, I take it, were checking in on you just as they do, like good parents, like how you getting on, and I take it you're saying like everything's okay, yeah, it's cool. And the day comes where you're getting your grades because you said you thought you bossed it, you thought you was that guy, and you get them grades. How are you feeling at that point?
That particular day,
Well, how do you feel prior to getting them
it
results?
was nervous. It's nervous. It's nerve wracking. Like um, I didn't I didn't collect my grades for my past exams. I was in Butlin, so this is the first time I'd actually gone and collected exams and stuff, and the first feeling. And I went I went with my mum, and then you just kind of just go into the room, look at your grade, take your envelope, and then walk out, go to the next place because it was different campuses. Go and get your grades and come out. And I was just looking at them like, oh man, this ain't the one. And then it got to a point of just silence, and it comes to a point where you know that your parents don't know what they want to say to you, because they know that you're disappointed. Um, and so yeah, it came from a nerve wracking to okay, it's like an emptiness. Like, what do you do? what's going to happen next? What should I do? And then they start talking to you about clearing, which is the UK's version of looking at universities who have vacancies but or haven't filled their vacancies and you want to change, or just due to the fact that you haven't got your first choices, or you want to change your choice. It isn't always a sin bin like that, but it's an opportunity to change your course of what you want to do. Um, Trying to negotiate with the university to say, look, I know I got these grades, but can you take me? And they're like, get out of here. Um, and then at the same time, you've got other people. You get every day the common BBC, British Broadcasting Network, or within England, showing these children that go, oh, I got A stars, and I got I'm going to Cambridge or Exeter, and it looks so good. Well, you're like, boy, man, I have to do another year or so.
So how did it feel then? Because ultimately you felt that way. You went there with your mum, and then your mum's like looking at you after looking at the results,
Mhm.
saying what you've been doing for the last 2 years.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't even need that. You just start thinking about yourself and what have I been doing for the last 2 years? So it kind of gets to that kind of mad point. Um, but it gets you to reassess and realize that this life ain't no joke. Um, people will pass you by, and if you don't focus and get to your goals, then like you are ultimately running your own race. And make sure that you know where your race is and what you're doing. So it just kind of got me to a point of reconfiguring my mind, um, in that I'm not a child anymore.
Do you think because you had your girlfriend, now wife, at the time that was sort of still on that track, still doing her thing, that helped you to understand what was wrong?
Absolutely, absolutely. At the time, you're thinking, I should be here. I should be at university. You're going to visit. Um, you're going to visit people who are at university. I used to visit my girlfriend every Friday as well because that's when she didn't have lectures. Um, and at the same time, you're just at home, still at your mum's. um, and obviously that wasn't the life that I was envisaging. I was more looking at like what I wanted to do for um that's definitely what I wanted to do in the long term. Wanted that campus life, be away, seek independence, but this wasn't meant to be. I'd had another year, and um I think the key thing was that people were supportive of my decision as well. So um procrastination can sometimes be worse than actually making a decision and saying that you stick to that path. And I was a bit um stubborn of my decision, say no, I want to go to university and I'll go to my university as well. So I'll just do another year intensive. And yeah, it worked out. It worked out okay in that it got me back to that focus point. I'm saying, look, this ain't no joke. Like, you need to apply yourself, and in whatever you do, it's not just kind of education, but you can achieve if you apply yourself. And ultimately, what happened was I done a year intensive, um, and it was like a two-tier kind of moderate um two-tier type system. So I had exams in January, got A's and A stars, so clocked it on that front. And then the old Jonathan came back in. So there was so in the end it all balanced itself out, and I managed to get the kind of necessary grades to go to university for the next year. But it's that element that I always tell like people when they're going through this now, to tell you what your L is, man. Like that is one of the big ones when cousins and family were going through that and they kind of thinking about what they want to do. I say, look, this isn't the end. Like there's other ways forward and there's other opportunities for you to change or make a decision on what you want to do. And I say, look, I did it. Like, you can do it too. It's not difficult in terms of changing changing your path and just putting the wrong to a right and carrying on your life. And then I think the key thing as well, which is even more important, is understanding that you are running your own race. You are running your own race, and with that in mind, make sure that you know what you want and go for it.
I think that's a valid point. That's reminiscent to how I've had analogies that I work with. I love analogies. If anyone hasn't noticed, I'll scatter them throughout all these podcast episodes. But it's a matter of analogy I'd always use is like saying, in the day, right, as a child growing up, like for instance, let's use my son Avery, right? He'll decide to make a decision. Do you want this or do you want that? Mate, I've already predetermined that the garments of clothes that he's going to be wearing are any one of the two that I'm happy with him to wear for that day. But he thinks he's made a decision. He hasn't. I've preordained that decision. And no matter what he does, effectively, I've always kind of got his back. I'm already dealing with that. He don't have to worry about money costs or anything like that because I've got him. But when you get to a certain age in your life or a certain stage in your life, there comes a point that no guardian can take responsibilities for your actions or inactions. So you're going to be faced with a decision whether you do something or you don't. And even not doing something is still technically an action. And that's where you can either be closer to your goal or you could be getting yourself further away from your goal. And I would probably say to you, or ask you at least, in that time where, because you articulate it so well in terms of saying, that's the L, I've owned it. I'm talking to my cousins, I'm talking to these people to let them know. At that time, did you know what you wanted to do for a career?
I thought I did. Um, so at the time, it was I want to be a psychologist. Interested in that area of work. The university where I went to, I had done it not too far from London as well, and it was a clear pathway. Um, I weren't really interested in anything else.
And did you need those grades to make that happen?
Yeah, well, to the university that I wanted to go to, I didn't want to go to a a a kind of any university that was just taking me for my GCSEs. I wanted it because of, you know, well, through merit of the qualification that I received. And you know what, it was either that or carry on playing basketball, try and get into the NBA. But I was 6 foot, like the people are getting taller and my jump shot wasn't getting any better. So with that in mind, I kind of just thought, nah, but it's this education thing.
No, that's fair enough. But then knowing that you needed the qualification to get there, and yes, there were other pathways to go. How did you like? Now you seem so confident. You say it with your chest, but was you that confident then that you were gonna find another way? I know you said your parents said about clearance and stuff like that, but was you as confident then? Because I know that I am not an academic person. Between myself and my wife is a brain box. She's the one that can study in that capacity. I never went to university. And I know what it felt like when I didn't get those grades that I would like to have got. But truthfully, did I put the work into it? No, I didn't. And my headspace was just hazy because I didn't know what life looked like. So I just, as far as I'll call it as drifting. But I guess I was fortunate to have certain things in place that just allowed me to navigate safely through it. I secured myself a decent job that didn't mean I got myself in any trouble. I could consistently work in it and it was an office job. But did you know that? Did you have faith in yourself? Did you back yourself? Did you know that it was going to work out okay at that time?
I wouldn't say I knew it was going to work out. I would say it's just sheer stubbornness. That's what I wanted to do. And therefore, that's what I'm going to try and do to the best of my ability. And I think that that's what drives you when you're younger. That point of you're not going to defeat me. Like I'm not done in that sense. So don't get me wrong. Um, you understood the lesson and the reality that if you don't work hard, then you won't get to where you need to go. So you better apply yourself. Um, and it came a bit all consuming as well. To get to that point. Um, but the flip side of that was that I achieved to get me to the university that I wanted to go to. Um, it was a wake up call in terms of how I applied myself at uni. Um, but then even that was a strange one because I still feel like A levels or AS levels at, is one of the most kind of difficult things that you will do in terms of academia because it's so varied of the subjects that you're trying to cover and vast in terms of um, breadth of information that you're trying to consume. It's very difficult to get to that point. Well, for me anyway.
No, appreciate the honesty. So, did you at any point negatively react to your situation?
Mm, I did. Came a bit of a recluse because I was so determined to try and get to that point. Apart from seeing my girlfriend, um, it was oh yeah, and basketball to keep the exercise going, um, and work. So it was yeah, those three kind of trifactors. I'd be at home, jamming at home. Nothing else needs to be done there, lol. Um, so with that in mind, um, it changed my mentality of kind of I've got to do this. I've got to sit down, get all this information in my head. I've got a year, and it's a year of not messing around. You know, your playtime was over, and then you've got to think in the background. You've got your other friends who are at uni going through their freshers week, doing X, Y, and Z, coming back to I remember a time like I said, I was recluse staying in my house. One of my friends, it was a Sunday night, just chilling, playing computer games, and he came to my house drunk with like four other guys, and obviously it came, uh, 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 we had fun at college, but not to that extent where you're like going to someone's house at amount of time drinking and da 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 da. I had to kick him out. Had to kick him out because of the fact that I was so focused on what I needed to do. I can't get into that your zone right now. You're kind of messing up a space for me. So um I kicked him out because of that. Um and that kind of showed me how you're running your own race. You can't let anything distract you. Unless you've got your social friends and they want the best for you. They've also got to understand what your goal is as well and understand that you're in that zone.
What would you say? It felt like it at the time, but it's not. What is that now?
That made us sterner stuff, man. Like, that was a setback that happened at a young age, and I bounced back from it. And I can talk about it with confidence and like you said previously, I've owned it and shared it with people to say, look, that's not the be all and end all. Nobody's perfect, and you've got the power to do and manifest things in the way that you want it to be delivered as well. So you've got resilience, and I think that's ultimately the the non-L of this. Like you can change things around, and everything what you've got is in your power. So as long as you know that and not let it consume you, then keep it moving, man. You can do it.
So it sounds like that was the pressure that helped you to see that there was potential to be a diamond.
Yeah, yeah. You know what they say, pressure busts pipe, but it also can create diamonds as well. So
Exactly that.
yeah, that was it for me.
And the same as well, they talk about putting kernels in a pot and you put the oil in there, you put the fire on. Not all turns into popcorn.
Mm,
And if they do, it's not at the same time.
yeah, it's true.
And it just sounds like yours came at a particular time when your grades just didn't manifest in the way that you wanted them to. So it helped you get in gear. And, I'm happy that you can now look back and see that for yourself. What I'll ask you is looking, and obviously I know you touched on it briefly, but if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self at the height of your situation where you felt low, down, and just didn't know what to do, what would you have said to yourself? Or what would you say to yourself right now if you could talk to yourself?
Kendrick Lamar, we gon' be alright. Like, quite frankly, like,
And he'll be like, "Who?"
yeah. Well, I could go back to the Soldier Boy days. Go you. Anyway, that's the
Wow,
worst. Anyway,
wow.
um, but you know, in all seriousness, just keep doing what you're doing. You know what your end goal is. Keep going. Um, and yeah, learn from this. Learn from it. It's gonna hurt. It hurt your pride definitely, but that will go. And on to bigger and better things, man. On to bigger and better things.
I think the thing around that is, if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't give it 5 minutes worth of thought.
That's it.
Because a lot of the times, the social circles you have now, they are important. But in the grand scheme of things, are you still going to be hollering at them people? Are you still going to be dealing with them? Chances are it's a no. And it's not in a malicious way. It's just you're naturally drifting apart because your goals, your ambitions, everything like that just is different.
But the thing is, you, sometimes you're not ready to hear that until you're ready to hear that. So yeah, it gets to that point where yeah, you've got to kind of let people walk their own paths, and that was my path to walk in that sense. And yeah, take that as a lesson. Now definitely.
That sounds positive. No, much appreciated for sharing that. And I can only imagine how many times you probably thought about that and how it's made you feel. But for you to share it, yeah, greatly appreciate that. Your next L that you want to discuss is something I think a lot of us, like I got no justification because I'm still carrying it. It's putting on COVID weight and trying to lose it. Because I'm not gonna lie, right? I feel like a Michelin man. I feel just like, all I can say is I'm glad I'm black because I look skinnier than I actually am. They say wear black to look skinny. I am black. That's what makes me look skinny.
Hold on, Matt, you're black. Hold on.
But sorry, brown. Let's be political. I'm brown.
Oh, God.
I think a lot of us can testify to COVID being what it is, a global pandemic, which I've got to say to each and every one of us, we're fortunate enough to be in a situation where we are here. Not saying we've survived it, as it's halted, it hasn't. We're still just living with it.
Absolutely.
But we've learnt to navigate through a global pandemic. Like, I'm telling you, they taught us about World War One and Two briefly, but here we are living and like surviving the whole thing and raising a family
Mm,
and going to work. Amazing. Congratulations to you. If you thought COVID was your L, just
mm,
you're here.
definitely.
You're here. So just want to throw that out there. But yeah, COVID weight, how do you handle that?
It's clearly a lifestyle thing. You know, the government tells you to stay at home, 1 hour a day exercise, like say you're in prison. Um, and it you don't realize it until you step on those scales, really. Um, at first, and bear in mind, of course, like during that time, barbers are closed. Um, you're putting on hair in your face where so any type of cheek or tub is looking more like just your face looking hairy. So you just blame the barber, not yourself. So obviously 1 hour a day doing exercise, you're working from home, so there's less movement and stuff. And and obviously before that I was fit. I'd do some running. I'd go and play basketball regularly, and then like I remember it being 2020. You do the whole new me, new year, new me. I'm gonna get this done. Da 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 da. And then I stepped on those scales, man, and I was like, wow, that's like a proper drop off of where I was. So I was like, no, I can't be in this state. You start putting on your jeans and they feel a bit tight. You start you know.
You act like I could put my jeans on. The buttons were not meeting.
Yeah, man, them three stripes are feeling kind of comfy nowadays. Let's put it that way.
It was one stripe for me. Just the other two just were absent. Just couldn't see them. I'm making that I'm like humongous. I'm just a tall guy. I'm 6'3", not 6 foot like you.
You could have been a basketball man. Could have made the league.
No, I could have been, but I just did have friends when I came to sports. I'll just if you're either on my team or you're not. That's
Oh,
just, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, no, it. I feel you with that. It was hard. I must admit, I've got on a scale a couple of times. I thought it was broken,
start checking batteries.
but it wasn't that was broken. It was my discipline that was broken.
Mm,
It was bad.
yeah, and then like I tried, doing some more exercise, and stuff like that, and then it was. It was going slowly but steadily. Like, okay, we'll see how we go and change. You use your whole kind of food diary and stuff like that. And then I got a shock to the system because you hear the information about COVID, and you have underlying factors such as kind of being overweight, seeing diabetes, as well as kind of any type of blood pressure or heart condition that you have. And then the shock to the system was that my mum actually went to hospital with COVID, and it just kind of got to a point of just you know the hospital telling you that this your last, say goodbye to your mom, this your last days type thing. And then thank God, luckily she pulled through it, and that was fine. But then I started to become philosophical about my weight as well, and I was thinking, boy, I've got it within my power now. Here comes that stubbornness again to change that stuff. Where if I ever caught COVID, which I haven't at the moment today, I have confidence in my body won't have to think about underlying factors or any type of particular issues, particularly weight gain, which is in my power. So I was really determined to kind of lose that kind of COVID weight, and it's a journey. It's not completed yet. And a lot, like, it made me want to set goals as well, as far as what I want to do um in the kind of short to long term. And it got to the so I set up a little, well, got some weights, started skipping and kind of getting into the flow of exercise, and really taking the food diary seriously. And again, I haven't reached my goal, but during that time, during that year, by the end of the year, I'd lost 10 kilos. So it was like, okay, that there's marked improvement. I'm running quite regularly as well when I'm a lot more active. Um, but the L is definitely that state when you're looking at your trousers and thinking, boy, I could do with a couple more inches in the trouser waistline, to be clear.
That's what she said.
In the waistline, that's what I said.
Just say,
um,
just say.
I know, and it's like put down the KFC bucket and all that stuff, and just kind of reach your goal and focus on what you want to do. And I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there, and a lot of people will resonate with that, and knowing that you have to be disciplined, because COVID was not kind, man, not one bit, and still isn't.
No, it isn't. And I think, I'm really happy to hear about your mum pulling through, because I remember when it was going through, obviously you was beside yourself, and rightly so. I think that it's safe to say when, the things that's going on in the world, when the ripples hit you,
Mm,
that's when you realize your own mortality, and how reckless we've kind of been, because we're not as grateful for the fact that we wake up and still drawing breath, and we can still see, and we can still move, and we can still do whatever.
mm,
And then when we realize that in an instant that could be flipped on its head, and some of that could be because it's our lack of discipline, our lack
mm.
of awareness of a situation, that can be quite scary.
And don't get me wrong, like, you can see the steps that were getting you to that stage. So Like I haven't cooked so much banana bread in my damn life over COVID. Like start to perfect recipes and start putting who puts icing on banana bread? Let's put it that way.
Oh wow, you took it there.
Exactly. You start becoming an aficionado at making pizza. You make your own pizza dough and stuff, and you can see kind of the accumulation of stuff and behaviors which kind of get you to that point. And yeah, just got to you have to kind of review and understand again, review your life, understand why you've got to that point, and then adjust it where you think or to where how you get to your kind of end goal.
Yeah. So how was your headspace when you saw your weight? Because you sound like you've always been a healthy person, quite well maintained. So to suddenly see yourself, you're in control of your life, because previously you mentioned about, my grades weren't what I wanted them to be.
Hmm.
So I've worked on it. I've got myself to where I need to be. Right. I'm living life. I've got my family. I'm being a family man. I'm doing
Hmm.
everything. And next thing you know, you step on the scale and going, yo, I know I've been banging out in the kitchen, but I'm trying to perfect an art, a
Banging out the
skill, trying
kitchen,
to
I
do it.
love it.
And then now you're thinking, I can't even see my toes, best believe, what is going on. Did you feel disappointed in yourself? Did you feel like embarrassed? What was the feeling there?
Well, I think it was the ability to verbalize it. You knew where you were at this time. You know where you were this time last year in terms of what your body looked like and what you could and couldn't do. Don't get me wrong. Like I wasn't kind of chasing after my 3-year old daughter at the time, thinking, "Give me a breather, I'm fine." It was it was more just kind of for my own personal health, and then um, the shock to the system when you see what the possible end consequences are, where people are writing you off um, as a result of any type of ailments or issues that you have. It made me definitely self reflect. Um, like you got to do better. You don't want to be in that position, or you want to have confidence in yourself that you will pull through any of this from a physical point of view as well as a mental point of view, and nothing's going to stop that. um so that was kind of like a big reflection for me personally, and I had a supportive family. um uh you could call it support, you could call it a hint. My wife got me some weights and a punching bag for my birthday. So, you could call it like you really need to, work on this, Jonathan. Or you could say it for what it was, and I see that's what your goals are here. Take this to kind of continue on. Um, so uh yeah, it's what fuels you, what motivates you, and use it. And sometimes I guess fear is a good motivator. And as much as it shouldn't be, it genuinely can be a motive. It's like, I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be in that situation. And like, don't get me wrong, everyone took a Domino's pizza, just eat. Got so much money from the pandemic in terms of people doing takeaways and just staying at home. That yeah, it was a genuine shock to the system. And yeah, I can understand what the triggers were as well, because prior to the pandemic, um, I decided to go vegan as part of Lent. Um, and naturally, there ain't no food in vegan food, so I was losing weight. So I said, if I offend all the vegan people, like my apologies. But beans, carrots, and um the odd soy wasn't sustaining me, and I lost weight. I lost about, and this is before kind of it all properly kicked off. Um, but then, somewhere between um summertime, May, and December, I think that's when the weight just going. Was it was just on and popping and swollen up.
It's nice to hear that you have such a supportive wife, in the sense of she helped you to getting a bean bag, punching bag, sorry, and
Mm,
obviously the weights, because you could have potentially taken it a certain way, but it's nice that you understood where it was coming from. It was coming from a place of love
yeah.
and supporting you. And I think there's going to be some people, unfortunately, that may not have that support,
Mm,
but
absolutely.
it sounds like you found your resolve, and even though you identify like, not nope, how does this woman still look at me and still find me attractive? She's supporting you,
Mm,
and potentially, and I don't want to say this could be the case, but I would like to believe that there is a possibility, at least with other people, if not with you, where it would have taken you longer. So yes, you could have identified, I'm not happy with my weight, but still not do anything about it. But you had the support in order
mm.
to take it in the right way. I'll actually ask you, why did you take it in the right way when your missus got you the punching bag and the weights?
Because it was conversation. It's being communicative of what your goals are, and like I said, verbalizing is really important. And if you've got a confidant that you can talk to someone and say, I'm not feeling this way, I'm not feeling right in this way, and I want to change it. And then, um, you know, sometimes, especially with weight loss, you don't know how to do it. People see the, hit YouTube videos. You see the, what's his name? Joe Wick jumping up and down and doing all of that. And maybe that's not for you. Um, but that provided me with a type of guidance to say, right, maybe that's the way I should do it. Or A, stop eating. Put those pizza dough making kits away and get a salad. Um, and B, there's exercise apparatus that you may want to do and fit it to your lifestyle. Um, and keeping that focus on what your goal is. Um, because I'm traumatized if I'm honest. Like seeing the possible outcome and seeing how people can write you off because of health conditions um makes you think I don't want to be that way. And yeah, I'm all about living life to the most now. And at some point, one of my goals is to um it's gonna sound mad still, uh is to bungee jump. No, not bungee jump, not bungee jump, sorry, skydive. Like that's better. But
Hey, 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 skydiving is ace. Don't knock
trust
it.
me.
But there's two different things. One involves a rope, the other one
Yeah,
doesn't.
exactly. So um yeah, one of my aims now is to skydive and live life to the fullest and feel. I think that's one of the things I always say, like, people who are in the kind of bad mental state or are not here with us, they're unable to feel. And that's really important, and a feeling that not everyone has. To understand the feeling to be angry, that feel to be happy, that feel to feel breeze on your face and feel fresh air through your lungs. Um, and even feel that strain on your body, like it's a real thing. And yeah, and like I said, it's a journey. I'm not finished yet. Um, but best believe I've got a pathway to try and get to my goal and integrate it with lifestyle. You still got to live life too.
I appreciate that honesty though. So that was quite clear that you have an understanding of people being in that situation where they're numb to feelings.
Mm.
Have you been in that space then?
Mm, from an emotional, I say from an emotional side, um, definitely when things aren't going your way, um, on a personal note, yeah, um, I'd say definitely back again when my mum was in hospital. You just don't know what to think about it, and you're hopeful, but also preparing for the worst, and that creates that type of numbness too. Um, but I would say, yeah, there's been times. There's been times, definitely.
And how do you safely navigate that numbness?
Um, a range of things. Um, what do they call it? Um, when
CBT.
no 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 escapism. That's the word I'm looking
Okay.
for. Using other things to get my head away from that and just again feel something different, whether that be kind of comedy and stand up feeling, um, going for a walk, um, anything distracting from yourself and trying to find a personal achievement that will get you to that point of not feeling numb and not getting back to that dark place, because if you stay in that place, it's hard to get out of. It really is.
100%. I agree with you on that one. And as someone that's suffered with depression before, and I probably still have remnants of it still, it's something that you manage on a day to day basis. But there is definitely something there, and I think when I went skydiving, it was probably similar to when I was just coming out of depression, and it was the most invigorating thing. And if I didn't agree to do it, I would have missed out on that amazing experience of just descending through the skies, free falling about 200 miles an hour, seeing things in a way I would never normally see them. It was beautiful, and I would do it again. Irrespective of me being a parent, I would do it
Mm,
again because I'm not trying to live a life through fear. I'm trying to live my life fearlessly
mm,
and experience everything I can do, because I just think, why am I going to encourage my child to do the best they can and enjoy the life to the fullest? And here I am coasting in second gear.
mm.
Not saying being reckless, I'm just saying I want to experience life.
That's it. And I think that's what for me the skydive represents, is that feel again, that representation of life, to say this is the bigger picture. You're jumping outside of a plane, an open sky, seeing the world below you, but you're seeing it. You are seeing it, not like you're viewing it in someone else's eyes or anything like that. You're seeing the bigger world for yourself, and I think that's what entices me. So either that or get a tattoo. I'm not really one for needles. You get me? That's another thing.
Nah, nah, each their own, man. Each their own. And I fully there with you. And for anyone that's listening, a video of me skydiving actually exists on
Oh, I
YouTube.
need to see that.
It actually exists on YouTube. So
YouTube.com. All right.
yeah, and then the rest. Yeah, have a look, see if you can find it. But it is out there, and it was such an invigorating situation. I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked you before. What would you tell your younger self then?
Um, Too early, man. It's too early. I'm trying to think about it.
Thinking if you're in that headspace where you're on the scales and you feel some sort of way,
Another um another Kendrick Lamar lyric.
you love off Kendrick Lamar.
Trust me, like shit don't change unless you get up and wash your ass, man. So with that
Try to
in
say that
mind,
to my son. It happens. It happens. Trust me, it happens. He don't have to move. I do it all for him. And potty train is,
yeah,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
that's from
Oof,
Satan,
I'm
man. That's
feeling
from
for you right now, man. Seriously, and um,
shut
he'll
up.
he'll,
You
pr-
got a
he'll get
daughter,
to
so
it,
it's
man. He'll
easier,
get
man.
used to it. He'll get used to it, man. Don't worry. The poo's under behind the curtains. They don't come as fast and furious as they normally do. He'll
Thanks
get
for
there.
that.
No, but yeah, in terms of keep going, man. Keep going. I think that's what I'd always tell myself, and um, that kind of, what are you gonna do about it? You're not happy. What do you want to do? And I think that's an overarching kind of life lesson as well. If you're not happy, what are you gonna do? Um, and take the L as a lesson again, and don't be afraid to ask for help and support. That's also important. If you can verbalize it and share, a problem solves a problem half genuinely. And there are people that want to help you. There are people that love you and want you to be the best you that you can be. And if that means that, you know, you you know, you don't ask, you don't get. And I think that's really important.
No, no, I appreciate that. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'm going to let you have a moment to selfishly. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to give you a shameless plug of yourself or anything else that you got going on. The mic's yours, my friend.
Oh well, no, just hoping that people have got something from this podcast. It's a bit of it's an interesting reveal and insight, into kind of making sure that you take your life as, take your L's as a lesson, like never a loss, because you can move on from it as long as you're still breathing and you got that thing, in your chest, your heart, then you can do this, man. So, for anyone who needs to hear this, just keep going, man, and you can, and self-reflect. Don't keep going recklessly. Just hope that you find, what you want to do, and reach your goals.
Nice. And where can people find you on social if they want to engage with you?
So, I'm on Instagram, at Jigwan Jonathan on Insta. And if you want to catch me on Twitter, it's JDLJ1305, I think.
He
You won't
said
catch me
that
on
so fast, I'm actually going to stick it in the description, so don't worry about it, people.
JDLJ.
This guy, this guy.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
JDLJ1305. Yeah, but yeah, so let me know what you think about the podcast. And yeah, happy to do this. We need to hear about Matt's L's as well. Definitely something silly like, I forgot to record this podcast.
you carry on, I'll delete this podcast.
But yeah, man, we need to hear it, definitely.
We'll see. We'll see if there's time. But there's so many other stories out there that I just think it's worth hearing from. And I'm conscious that I talk a lot just for my job and everything else. And I just think it's a beautiful thing to hear what other people got to say. I would have loved, and I've said it before, I would have loved to have had a hub of content like this where people are telling me how things went a different direction to how they would want it to go and how their headspace was, how they overcome it. And if nothing else, this is sort of another one of my legacies outside of my children that I can leave. And it just be a hub for people to say, you know what, I'm not in a great place, but I'm listening to all these amazing individuals that have had their own cards dealt to them and they've somehow still played them and still clawed back some winnings. And that's what it's all about for me, just having people that are willing to share stories. And it was amazing that what someone I worked with actually listened to the first episode I did, and she was talking about, wow, that's heavy. And I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to it to be. So no, as in like it's real stuff. It's real people sharing real stories about themselves. And I think I never really looked at it from that aspect because I always talk to you guys. But it is that, and I think that's the reason why this podcast was on my mind for so long. And not that I look for other people that have maybe done something like this, but it was just the fact it just wasn't going away. And it was something where I feel I don't want people to self harm or to do anything else unnecessarily because they think they have no other options. And if I can help contribute towards allowing them to know that there are other options outside of that. And when I say that, I'm talking about suicide people. I'm sorry, I don't mean to trigger you, but I'm saying it because that is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And I just want to get that off the table for people. So I hope everyone's encouraged by this. I can't thank you enough for joining me and for sharing what you have done. It's been an honor. I hope to one day catch up with you maybe another time, but I definitely want to see if I can get your wife on here. Kind of see what's going on in your skeleton closet here.
Oh well, it'll be about her and her L, not mine. So I've done my bit, confessions
You
and all
might
that.
be the L.
Well, let me say this is a very expensive L, Matt. Let me be.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I'm just
uh,
saying.
like
I'm
I
just
said,
saying.
there's if this is an L, boy, I want to see the win. That's what I'm saying. Like
Your daughter. Your
she, co-
daughter is the win.
she comes with, yeah,
No,
absolutely,
yeah.
actually.
You
I
see,
know. I
you
was gonna
can't
say. I was
argue
gonna
that.
say
You can't argue.
something.
I got you there. I
And
got you. I
yeah,
got you. Checkmate.
yeah, I know. But like I said, man, that's the win.
No, definitely that. But no, thank you very much for again
Pleasure, man.
joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
And thank you very much to listeners. Hopefully you understand through the fantastic things that Jonathan has shared that yeah, sometimes things just don't go the way you plan them to do, and sometimes you just got to take whatever lesson comes from certain situations that are, just come your way. Just please, for any of you listening, just take something positive from this, and just understand that where you are right now is not where you're going to be going forward. Things change, seasons change regularly here in the UK at least, and that could be the same for you. So be encouraged, enjoy yourself, and I look forward to seeing you or hearing you hear me. That makes sense in my head. In the next episode, take care of yourself.
Every L podcast. Every L podcast. Every L podcast.